Hey, everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. Some unfortunate news in the world of WWE. You guys think I've been littering your pages with AEW content, but let me just prove the point. Like any of you think that I'm just, pro WWE, just brace yourselves for this video. The reports are coming out that contrary to initial reports, SmackDown is going to remain at 3 hours. Apparently, USA is happy with the viewership numbers. They are okay with everything. And the show, despite being at its weakest, I think maybe in the history of SmackDown, maybe there might have been earlier editions or somewhere, some of the 2000, the mid 2000s where it was a tape near the end of when it was a tape show, it was pretty bad. This is about as bad as it's been as a live show. 3 hours is way too long. They need to do one of two things. They either need to A, beef up the rosters, or B, shrink it down to 2.5 hours. And obviously the second thing can't happen because if you're on, cable or network television, you have to have hard deadlines. And so the reason why Netflix is so unique is they can cut, that final hour and a half and run and just be a nice 2.5 hours. Even 2.5 hours of Raw has kind of felt long recently. There's been good stuff mixed in. SmackDown has had some things that have been okay, but Cody Rhodes obviously coming back is going to make the show at least a little bit more digestible. They'll have a quick little build to this tag match that they're going to have at Money in the Bank coming up in a week from Saturday. But this is such a terrible decision to keep the show at 3 hours. The talent pool is not nearly as big enough to, sustain a 3 hour runtime. A lot of the stuff on this show feels like filler. As much as I love Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green, that Women's United States Championship has felt so unbelievably uninteresting compared to what's going on with Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch with the Women's Intercontinental Championship. That title feels like significantly more elevated, even if there are some issues. But it's just, SmackDown didn't need to go to 3 hours to begin with. It's shown in its runtime. It's shown in how this show is dragged. I actually was kind of like, especially on a Friday night, ending at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern was better than ending at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. It's just it's just like with what we think about with Raw for a large chunk of time when it was 3 hours. It went too long. 3 hours is a long time for a wrestling show that's not a pay-per-view. So it's just like I saw this report from WrestleVotes that basically they're going to stay with this. I'm like, man, what the fuck is USA watching? What are they watching? Like a lot of the content within SmackDown has been kind of average to met. Some of it has not been good. And your world champion is John Cena, who is sparingly showing up, only has a select amount of dates. Cody Rhodes has been off television until this past week at Saturday night's main event. Your women's champion, Tiffany Stratton. What I do like is their women's division has definitely it's gotten a lot more interesting. Charlotte Flair is now floating around, not in the championship picture. Julia is there. Naomi as a heel is interesting. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair is going to show back up on Friday night. So their women's division is fine. The tag division, if there's one shining example of what has been good on SmackDown, it is the tag team division. Because that tag team division is fucking extraordinary. Now you add Fraxium. You've got the Wyatt Six just came back. You've got obviously DIY, the Motor City Machine Guns, the Street Profits, Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. You got all these great tag teams that are fucking killing it. One of the great television matches I've ever seen in that TLC match they did the week after WrestleMania. But outside of that, man, some of this show in the middle just completely and utterly drags. And I never thought, listen, when they wanted to do this 3 hour thing initially, I was like, okay, that's fine to just, kind of see it kind of match up to Raw. And now Raw has been consistently at 2.5 hours, and now SmackDown's at 3. I thought that, hey, after seeing how this had gone for most of the year, and really there being for 3 hours a large chunk of just like mad stuff, like nothing inherently terrible, but not a whole lot of good that really stands out. And in order for you to have like a 3-hour show, you've got to have a roster that's going to be able to sustain the runtime and keep people interested. And it hasn't really connected. So I think this is a horrible decision. And I really hope that at some point WWE and USA get together. Because remember, guys, when we were begging for Raw to not be 3 hours anymore? And then they shortened it to 2 near the end of last year, and everybody fucking hated that because they thought it was too abrupt and too quick. 2.5 hours is the perfect thing. SmackDown's kind of getting screwed by the fact that they're still on USA. And I understand that they've got this contractual thing with NBC Universal. At some point, you have got to find a way to at least, get it to 2.5 hours or just get it back to 2. Because to me, it's just too much given all the content that you have already. And to me, SmackDown just has never screamed like it should be a 3-hour show. So it's just like I saw this, man, and I was really disappointed because this show has really fell below the mark for a large chunk of 2025. There's been some good segments, like Randy Orton's done a lot of good stuff. The stuff that they did with Kevin Owens before he got hurt. There's been some stuff, some of the stuff with John Cena has been kind of interesting. Like obviously I've been kind of interested in seeing what they've been doing with that United States title. Jacob Fatu is going to do something great. Carmelo Hayes and The Miz has been, I guess kind of moderately interesting seeing where that's going to go. But there's just a lot of middle ground stuff on a show that, you're trying to make seem like kind of equal to Raw. Or at least you're trying to present it in that way. And it just doesn't feel that way. So I hope it's not going to be for the long term, but it sounds like that's the case. So that's really disappointing. Let me know what you guys think about SmackDown in the comments. And you guys can't tell me that I'm not critical of WWE because I am. I will call out bullshit when I see it. I called out Saturday Night's main event. I called out The Rock. I called out WrestleMania. When WWE does stuff that is subpar, below the standard of what I expect them to do, I'm going to call it out here. AEW is just, it's more glaring with them. And given the talent pool and the roster that they have, and considering they're trying to match up to WWE, they should be doing a whole lot better. I just try to bring an element of, honesty here to the conversation here on Off the Top Rope. If you guys don't like it, then why do you keep clicking on my video? Clearly you have some interest in what I have to say. So one notion that we need to dispel is I am not a Fed drone. I am not one of these WWE tribalists who tries to shit on everything that's AEW without, being completely fair to the other place. I've been critical. I will always be critical. I will always be honest with you. But if you want to tell me how to do my job, or if you want to tell me how to, run this channel or do this segment and tell me that I'm not fair to one place or the other, I've praised AEW. I've praised WWE. I've been critical of AEW. I've been critical of WWE. I hope that this proves to you that, hey, and I know a lot of people believe that, hey, I'm right when it comes to SmackDown. I'm going to call out bullshit when I see it. This is not a good decision, okay? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. To all the people who do support me and do actually have input and don't try to tell me what to do, thank you so much for supporting this channel. I appreciate it. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.